The nose knows blood tests. Believe it or not, yeah. And I don't know if you guys have been following any of the stuff I've been talking about on our live broadcast Mondays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. on Instagram Live, Muscle Sport Radio, and Ask Me Anything MSM style. I've been talking about how my blood came back all fucked up when I was on my TRT plus, I like to call it. And my blood levels were all messed up. My hemoglobin, hemocrit count were very high, and I needed to get them back to normal. So, yeah, of course, yeah, I know donating blood and all of that stuff helps thin it out and everything. And I started taking the baby aspirins and all of that. But I really needed to, I needed time off anyway, just to get everything back in working order properly. My doctor was ready to fucking strangle me when he knew exactly what was going on. So when I wrote this article in the current issue called Power and Greed, which basically overdoing it with steroids and coming off cold turkey, I was in the midst of would have ended up being 3 months of being natty, which really sucked because my testosterone level went down to a really fucking 8-year-old girl level of 150. And any of you guys that know how those test levels run, 300 to 1,000 is what they consider the normal scale. So I was half of the low end of the normal scale. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Basically, fucking playing pool with a rope kind of things. So I went 3 months off, and then I decided I'm going to go back on, but TRT level. I was not going to go nuts what I was doing before. Basically, what I was doing before was 400 milligrams a week of test sip or nth, and 200 milligrams a week of either EQ, which probably really fucking screwed up the blood count, and or Deca. And throw in a couple of Diana balls here and there, maybe just for the hell of it. But for the most part, it was 2 shots of each week. So then I went back and I said, I'm only going to do 1 shot of test once a week. I did 3 shots, and then I went for a blood test again. I repeated my blood screen. And lo and behold, guess what? All my numbers were perfect, normal. All of the stuff that was fucked up. I had the liver, potassium, hemoglobin, hemocrit, all of that stuff. My hemoglobin was like 19.4, I think, was the highest. And my hemocrit was like 55 or something. It was, all of them were down to normal. But there was one number that was high. And that, thankfully, was the testosterone level. Fucking 1,600. When I said that on one of the shows, one of the guys did a comment or something saying, have fun jerking off 6 times a day. Well, it hasn't been that much fun, but it's been a lot better than 150. I tell you that much. So really, if you're going to be one of these guys that thinks you're going to be Mr. Olympia, then you're going to fucking overdo it anyway, no matter what the hell anybody tells you, let alone this fucking old guinea. But if you're just a regular dude and you just want to feel good and feel better and you're on the plus side of 35, you don't need to do stacks. You really don't need to stack test, DECA, EQ, Anadrol. You start doing all, it makes no sense. And you don't need fucking HGH. Please stop with that shit. And most of the shit you're buying is all fucking bunk anyway. So what you really just need to do is take testosterone replacement therapy levels, which most doctors like to give you like 1 shot every week or 2 weeks or 10 days. Listen, I want it once a week. Fine. And as long as my blood stays good. And I even went to a hematologist and they all knew straight up. I wasn't jerking them off. I told them, square one, this is it. This is what I did. This is what I have been doing in the length of time I've been doing it. Because I wanted them to know going in how to get me back to normal so I can get back on. So the hematologist basically told me, if you're going to stick to those low levels like you said you're going to once a week, then what you just need to do is like every month or so, you need to donate blood. Or when I was at his office, they were just draining the blood just to thin it out because it was really thick. So that is the story with that. You can do TRT levels of juice and not fuck up your blood. But I know the anabolic doc who writes for us has always said, make sure you do your blood test, And I was doing my blood test, but I was ignoring the hemocrit and hemoglobin counts. I said, I know what it's from. It's no big deal. I know it's from. I'm on the DQ. That's why. Maybe the test was a little fucking shitty. I don't. Yep. I kept putting it off as long as I could. And thankfully, I was getting, believe it or not, ironically enough, no surgery, which is scheduled for like in a month or so from the day I'm taping this. So that's where my pre-surgical testing, my blood levels were all fucked up. And they were like, what? But they didn't know because it was a different doctor than my regular primary care. And then the hematologist who the primary care told me, go see this guy and get this shit straightened out. So I'm getting deviated septum surgery. So that should be quite interesting. The nose is going to be nose all full of gauze packed and then bruising and stuff. I'm going to look like I lost a championship fight with Rocky. But just be careful. If you're going to do shit, and we all know 90% of you guys watching this fucking thing are going to be doing juice. If you're going to do juice, don't go nuts with it. Stick to fucking TRT levels if you're doing it for TRT purposes, which probably 99% of us are. How many guys? I mean, and then if you do compete, you don't need to go nuts 12 months a fucking year. You want to start doing all this trend and shit like that, just do it when you're in contest prep. You don't need to fucking do it off. I'm going to do off-season cycle. Listen, that's where you get in trouble. So take it from me. You don't want to go off for 3 months and then look down at your fucking dick and say, I know I'm a fucking white guy, but Jesus Christ, it's not that bad. I'm not Irish. Chinese. Only on MSM do we fucking do we blur the lines of racism. Well, not really. You get what I'm saying. Stick to TRT levels. Don't go crazy. And then you're supposed to do TRT year round. As long as you do it properly and do donate blood to keep the red blood cell count down, you're going to be okay. You're not going to worry about fucking strokes and all of that shit. So it was a little bit of a scare I had, but we got around it. We'll be right back.